Well, I hope y'all are doing well today because we got a pretty important project for you, and I think it needs your undivided attention. All right, so two two real main focal points for today. All right, the first one is this clip I'm about to show you. Mr. Voch Lombardi and Brian brought us discussing something that we had been teasing and unpacking for quite a while. We added one extra round to the chamber from our angle because of what these two gentlemen right here spoke about. Take a listen.
And you the man over there in that building. I'm trying to work my way up there, but you the man in there. You was walking in one day. I was sitting in my seat. You walked in the door. You said, I just walked past Steven. And I say,
Yeah.
what'd he say, Brian? He was like, hey, man, at least we got some money to mess around with. And that was months ago when you said that. And then that's just been corroborated by Jay Glazer here. And he said it with confidence. Like he thought about the Pickens thing. And I got to comment on that. But we're going to stick on the yes, there are going to be active in.
So Jay Glazer kind of would technically be yet another round to the chamber, but just focusing specifically on what Voch said, his quote of Brian's conversation with Steven from months prior. I was not aware of this. Somebody sent this to me today. And of course, it's conducive to our discussion in recent weeks. All right, all the work that we've done, you guys, if you're first time listener here, first of all, welcome. Number two, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel for us, showing the almost 10,000 on here, but the 95,000 and counting strong across all social media platforms for the sports below the surface truth for the true fan. I'm Lando from the Lando Show, and I appreciate you guys being here.
I am inevitable.
So I'll show you guys a quick couple clips of the topics that we have discussed that parlay perfectly with Voch and Brian's brief little interaction there that we just detailed. All right, so I guess the first one that you would want to go back and check, if that topic interests you, what Voch just said, that added ammunition is intriguing, then you'll first go check out my guys over there at Crown Global Media, just in case you're not aware. Surely you are. If you know who I am, you most likely know who those two guys are. But just in case you don't, you should. Okay? Crown Global Media. That's from the Doing All Right podcast and the Crown Global Studios. But you can, I would say, probably start the 24 minutes that you see right here. Wow, my cursor is highlighted over. Proof Stephen Jones and the Cowboys will flip their conservative free agency script. All right, but then the one right before that, Jerry Jones's silence speaks volumes about the Cowboys' new direction. That is all context, elaborative context towards the point that Voch was just making right there. Okay, so I would strongly suggest or encourage you guys to go and check those things out if you have a few extra minutes to spare us today. Okay. Now, the real reason why we're here today is to broadly discuss the coaching staff that Christian Parker's put together. Okay, now first off the rip, Christian Parker, by seemingly unanimous opinion from Eagles media, Eagles all-pro players, Hall of Fame caliber coaches, past and present, and just about everybody else in between all agrees Christian Parker's next up, right? Okay, so we understand that. Now, Vic Fangio tree. The two most respected men and schemes in the National Football League today by salary and reputation, recent pedigree, actually, on their resumes. Brian Flores, who's making currently $6 million, which is about $2 million more than Vic Fangio was making last year as the highest paid defensive coordinator in football. So there's that. And then you've got Vic Fangio himself. So Christian Parker and his staff essentially are disciples of the two most respected defensive schemes and coordinators in the NFL, and then also disciples of the two most revered and respected defensive minds in the college football scene in the last decade. Okay, what do I mean by that? So you got Christian Parker. Vic Fangio fought for him tooth and nail because he had to have him because he's that bright and he's that buttoned up. Remember, top down. Okay? So you've got that connection. That philosophical pull. And then with Marcus Dixon, the defensive line coach, who is, his days with Christian Parker go back to their time in Denver. Okay, so they have a history together. But Marcus Dixon jumps over from the Brian Flores tree, working with him in Minnesota for the last couple years. Right? And also, I had this topic yesterday. It's just something that jumped out at me a little bit, right? I think it's being under-discussed, overlooked, whatever you want to say. Does Jerry's checkbook get any credit for this one, or does Marcus Dixon's lateral move, is that purely relational? Because of his previous ties to the organization, previous ties to, of course, Christian Parker. Is it purely relational? Or does the checkbook, the one that often gets completely dismissed or written off as a thing of the past, aggression, right? Putting winning first. No salary cap for coaching staffs, right? Well, sign the check, Jerry. Whatever you got to do. I understand that Marcus Dixon's contract was up in Minnesota. That's why he was allowed to take this, the interview and the opportunity. But I'd be hard-pressed to imagine he didn't have an offer to stay in Minnesota as well. And of course, the bright lights, right? The brand, elevating you as an individual. Those are all perks. The history of the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, I'm not naive to that. I'm just asking a simple question. I think it's significant that he took a lateral move willingly. Not because he was forced out, because he wanted to be here. All right? We're going to get to the nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes of this in just a second. I'm going to try to really just, literally, when I say no gray area, black and white, I mean that in a literal sense and in the best way possible. Why? Because Brian Schottenheimer, what he knows about football, especially in the modern era, okay? Remember, no gray area here. Just strictly okay, here it is. Just look at it. Pedigree, reputation, but also relatability because of their age, their backgrounds. Shotty says football is a relationship business, right? You must first get to know the person behind the players before they can really buy in and go all out for you. How do you do that? Well, you got to be able to connect with them. Okay, and to be able to connect with them, much easier, you have to know a little bit about their culture, a little bit about their interests. You have to be able to understand them. To walk the paths that they are currently walking as athletes. Can your coaching staff connect with those players? But literally, it's not a joke. Obviously, I take everything that we discuss here very seriously, and it's all calculated. All right, but do you think let's just guys, let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. Look at the coaching staff from 2025, Matt Eberflus's staff. All right? And you guys be the judge. You tell me. Matt Eberflus. $55 old. Defensive coordinator. Dave Borgonzi, linebackers coach, 43 years old. Aaron White Cotton, defensive line coach, 44 years old. Andre Curtis. Almost 50 years old. And now look at this year. Okay. Like I said, speaking broadly, but Shotty passionately pursuing and prioritizing relationships. Obviously, you're qualified enough. Right? The recycle bin is gone. Former coaches' buddies and their friends of friends and buddies and, people they're comfortable with. That day, at least for now, is done. It's the most qualified individual, but they all got a little something different in common. With their age, more youthful. The culture, the cultures, the backgrounds that they come from, the things that, that not every coach understands. What do we notice? Christian Parker. How old is he? Born in 1991, 34 years old. And once again, unanimous as the next boy wonder on the defensive side of the ball. Not my opinion, not the Cowboys' opinion, everybody else, including Eagles media, Eagles players who are first-team All-Pros, and Eagles fans. Case closed. All right? Next one. Derek Ansley. And I want to instantly refer to a tweet that I just posted that is also further contextual evidence. 44 years old, but has defensive coordinator experience, mind you. That's pretty critical, I think, for Christian Parker, first-time guy as DC with that title. A little bit of experience, a little bit of street cred, a little bit of extra help, right? But I'm gonna make this all make sense, right? It goes beyond this, okay? But I said speaking broadly, and then we dive into the details, and we'll do that on future shows as well. We're still kind of learning our way around, like who these guys are, where they come from, what their reputation is as a coach, who they are disciples from in the coaching trees, right? So check out Derek Ansley and his time in LA, and I want you to notice. Here he is right now.
Hey man, let's ball. Ball on three. 1, 2, 3. Ball. That's good work there now. Good work. Good work. I don't know what y'all got done over here. We got a whole menu done.
So see right there, he's talking to another position room on the Chargers roster. So I don't know who that is. I'm guessing it's I would just venture to guess, say it's either the linebackers coach over there or the D-line coach over there. I don't know which one. He's not pictured. But you can see they break it down. Next segment, practice window, moving into the next drill or team-related activity in practice. But the energy, breaking it down, first of all, the leadership, you can tell, that's natural. That's just God-given. But then hustling to the next spot and also chirping his fellow colleague, his fellow coach, in the process, because he's that fired up about the work that they just achieved, right? So listen, take this back a step and just read what I wrote. Because I mean, it's hard for me to, like, when I actually take the time to write something complex out, I like to just read it so I don't mess it up, because I do put a lot of time and thought into the way that I'm structuring my posts so that you guys can read it in a easily palatable manner. But I said competition amongst the league in each specific upcoming matchup, right? That's the key. Obviously, the parity of the league is it's amazing. It's what makes it so interesting. It's the most valuable sports league in the world, right? So competition amongst the league in each specific upcoming matchup first, right? Yes, got that. But for Cowboys' new pass game coordinator, Derek Ansley, it's about competition and accountability internal. So competing amongst each other from within. And that's normal. We think about that all the time from a player-to-player standpoint. How often do we contextualize that from a coach-to-coach standpoint too? Coaches holding other coaches accountable with their work ethic, with their energy, with their demeanor, with their passion, right? So let me just finish the point before I get off on another tangent. I'm really good at getting off topic, so I apologize for that. You guys, if you're new here, once again, you will find out very quickly that sometimes I talk a little bit too much. But the sports below the surface truth for the true fan, which is, of course, you. I guess that's why you're here to begin with. So it is what it is, and we'll roll with it. Not uncommon for a lot of coaches. But he and the rest of Christian Parker's new defensive staff all have this trait in common. Refer back to Shoddy's checklist in the postseason presser. Fire for the game. Great communicator. Teach complex details in a simplistic manner, and also in a variety of ways. Because what we talked about right when Christian Parker was brought on, or actually it was right, I think it was the day of the actual postseason press conference, we were kind of unpacking what they were talking about. And that was one of the things that we highlighted was, what is Shoddy's checklist? What's he looking for, right? And it was those three things: passion for the game, being a great communicator, great teacher, but also being able to teach complex details in a simplistic manner and in a multitude of ways.
Guys, listen.
You got to, each kid, each athlete, each player, they're not all going to learn the same. They're going to have different, like, some people are visual learners. They can visualize it and they can do it. Some people are hands-on. They have to rep it over and over and over and over and over again. Some people can just be told. And some people are a little bit of a combination of all the above. You got to kind of know your personnel, know your players, know your staff, right? And sometimes these players, they haven't really had to know that about themselves to know how they learn. So you have to sort of bring that out of them. But once again, it's about connecting to the player. If you can do that, you're much more likely to elevate them, bringing that stuff out of them, teaching them how to be a pro, how to hold yourself accountable. Internal competition and accountability, internal. There's levels to it. But don't you think, if you really understand who someone is, do you not think that once they know how much you care for them, and you can get to that point more easily because of your own background, wouldn't they, in theory, be that much more willing to leave it all out on the line for you? Wouldn't everything make more sense if you could truly relate to and understand the player? Wouldn't you be a better teacher if you understood who you were teaching? You have to make it make sense in a variety of ways. And all of these guys, not just Derek Ansley, because that's the video that I have posted and clipped. Remember, my time is very, very limited for y'all. To be as creative as I want to be, it's not in the cards right now. And if you appreciate the work that we still get done, regardless of my set of circumstances with 3 children, ages 3 and under, then the way that you show that support, once again, just look down, make sure, double check and make sure that you're subscribed. And then, of course, you can hit the like button. It's totally free. It costs you nothing, but it's everything for the continued growth and expansion of the Lando Show, the sports below the surface truth with the true fan. I need you. Because once again, I was you. I still am you. I'm here on your behalf. Bridging the gap between mainstream media and their fake take truths, quote unquote, that they try to sell, and the fans like you and me who deserve to know what the truth actually is. That's what this platform is about. 95,000 people can't be wrong, so please join them. All right, once again, it says I, but this really means we. We.
I am inevitable.
The last 2 things I realized I just didn't fully connect the other 2 coaches, right? Cowboys also recently brought in outside linebackers coach. I really don't want to butcher his name. Where is he? Chidera Uzo-Diribe. Coach Diribe. We could really dumb this down and stop right there. Where is he from? Where was he just poached from? Which program? Under which coach? Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. Case closed. Case closed. And by the way, Derek Ansley, I forgot to draw this connection as well. So we've got Kirby Smart, right? I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the 2 most respected and revered college defensive minds you have ties to, direct connections. That's Mr. Diribe, but then also Derek Ansley. Quick little Wikipedia search, right? Let's go back to it. What do you notice? Right here. Back in 2010. Interesting. Graduate assistant, Alabama Crimson Tide under Nick Saban. Fast forward a couple years, quickly working his way up the ranks in the college coaching industry. Nick Saban hired him again, 2016. DB's coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide under the DB Whisperer, the greatest teacher of secondary play, the greatest coach in college football history. Derek Ansley had the respect of that guy. Chidera Uzo-Diribe has the respect of the other guy that now fits the very same description that Nick Saban left. The shadow is being filled by Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs in many cases, many ways. They are the new dynasty of the decade, if you will. Unless Indiana has something to continue saying about it. We'll see about that. Okay? But literally, I chuckled. I thought, can we all just be less guarded for a second and literally just laugh at some pictures? All right? 2025 Dallas Cowboys defensive coaching staff. Just look. Matty Reflus. Right there. Dave Borgonzi. Aaron Whitecotton. Right there. Andre Curtis. Okay, now 2026. Okay, 2026. Here we go. We got Christian Parker, 34 years old. We got Derek Ansley, 44 years old. We got Marcus Dixon, 41 years old. We got Ryan Smith, 33 years old. And we got Coach Deribe. Also, I believe, 33 years old. Right? Where's Coach Deribe's picture at? I don't want to shortchange him. We just use No C's photo on DallasCowboys.com. By the way, shout out to Patrik Walker, man, who had a quote that you guys have to see. Okay, this is going to be a great way to. Here he is, right here. You can see his stuff if you're ever interested. In my opinion, So let's be real. I'm 31. Let's just say reading wasn't necessarily my favorite thing to do, especially as a digital media creator. When I first began really taking what I do in the sports media world seriously, Patrik Walker was one of the gentlemen who I really leaned on to challenge not just my thought process, but my understanding of what's real, what's not, what matters, what doesn't. Okay, real in depth with his analysis, but also incredibly articulate. He's just a brilliant man. He's a treasure. He truly is. And he has the humility, right? He's one of the most well-known members of Cowboys media, but the humility at the time, like before I was anything, before I had done anything relevant to this industry, he would regularly engage with what I guess he thought at the time were, some rather nuanced discussions or conversations or questions that I would ask. He would respond, and even more in perfectly Patrik Walker fashion, nuanced answers. All right, so now we followed each other. We've had interactions aplenty over the years, and especially recently, just showcasing our support for one another and what we do. But this right here, it does not get any better. Let me go ahead and close out all these tabs. I realize that's kind of embarrassing if you guys can see that, but I just literally, I'm trying to make this as easy to understand as possible. You've got Coach Deribe from the Kirby Smart tree. You've got, and by the way, the 3-4 front stuff is relevant, but this defense is going to be multiple. So don't dwell on what a 3-4 defense is. And it's the Cowboys are, they're only 3-4, all that stuff. No, they're going to be multiple. They're going to mix their fronts. They're going to do a lot of different things, but especially with their coverages, right? Christian Parker, as we know, with Vic Fangio, they are pre-snap the same, post-snap confused relative to, say, Brian Flores, who is pre-snap confused, post-snap rotate. Okay, it's slightly different. It's the same confusion in the post-snap disguising, but they get to it in a little bit of a different way. But now you have, and I think it's amazing, right? Because understanding where the Cowboys' strengths of their defensive roster is, right? We've had this discussion recently too, but just to refresh your memory, obviously Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, also Digizua, Donovan Ezeraku, year 2, becoming more of a professional. And then, of course, we hope Jadeveon Clowney comes back. That is clearly the strength of not just this roster, but one of the better defensive line units in the entire National Football League. Great starting point right there. Okay, but where the Cowboys were routinely dismantled and embarrassed last year was obviously their secondary. I find it interesting. They now have a handful of guys who all their skill set, their particular set of skills is in the secondary. Ryan Smith, Derek Ansley, Christian Parker. All 3 of them. They're kind of jointly overseeing and literally rewriting everything that we got to know last year. Okay, this is a overhaul of expertise an injection of youth and relatability into the coaching staff, and all of those other things in between. Just being able to truly understand who they are teaching. All right. So without further ado, let me show you this clip here from the great Patrik Walker. His synopsis of Brian Schottenheimer, his total impact. Once again, added ammunition, an extra round to the chamber of everything that we have unpacked on this platform. Proud to say that on your behalf over the course of the last couple months. Just take a listen to, you'll understand what I mean when I discuss the nuance and the articulate nature of Patrik Walker. If I can find the video real quick, 1 second. Almost just got locked out. Okay, let's see. Here we go.
I think it was they kind of split the difference up front. So when they hired Shotty, they looked at it as, okay, there's several things that he brings to the table. Obviously, he has a ton of experience, even at the young age of 50 or so. So much experience. I mean, he's been.
And this episode, for those unaware, is on The Break, Dallas Cowboys, a .com program on YouTube, and DallasCowboys.com, of course.
OC, you talk about the Seattle Seahawks, and he's been around football. But then segueing off of the comment of he's been around football, look at who his father is, right? The late, great Marty Schottenheimer.
Yes, sir.
So when you have that type of information to pull from, and he talks a lot about his network. He has a network that others would kill for as far as coaching is concerned, right? He talked a few times, he just casually dropped, I reached out to Bill Cowher and, okay. Yeah. He has these kind of guys in the speed dial,
Rex
right?
and Pete and all
exactly.
of that.
So I think all of that, plus the fact that he connects, and they saw that he can connect with the locker room when he was under Mike McCarthy. They said, okay, well, we're going to let you have carte blanche to build your offensive staff, but we're going to split the difference. We don't know you like that quite yet. We don't know what you can do on the deep, right? We don't know you like that yet. So we're going to build your defensive staff, and let's see how this goes. Now you fast forward, that fell apart, that fell right off the rails. I'm going to pull from Vach, and I'm going to say, I'm not going to hate on the guy because he's not here anymore. But
I hate to pause, but I have to do it because I didn't realize this even the first time I listened to this before I decided I was going to show y'all this clip. I didn't realize that he perfectly agrees with our assessment of, remember, we talked about it to lead off the show. The postseason press conference happened. The very first thing Jerry Jones discussed after being asked a question from somebody of Cowboys media, hey, did you hire Eberflus or did Shotty do that? Or did you guys do that together? Jerry's like, oh, well, of course, Shotty had everything to do with hiring Matt Eberflus. No, okay. We hypothesized, and now verification, of course, from Patrik Walker. Yes, Shotty nodded his head of approval. The first-time head coach wasn't going to kick Jerry right between the legs when he asked him the very first question in his tenure as head coach. There was no street cred yet, no proof, no pudding of proof for Brian Schottenheimer. But now, since then, of course, everything that he had his hand in was by and large a success in a landslide. Okay, so he may have nodded his head and said, yeah, sure, I'll take him. But that wasn't Shotty's hire. He didn't bring him in. Remember, Andre Curtis, Matt Eberflus, and then a man who shall not be named just out of respect for him and his family. I don't know all the details of his situation, but he caught a court case last year, right around the time that he was being interviewed. And was never so much more than a linebackers coach for a team that had no recent track record of developing that position, right? So there were Andre Curtis, by the way, was already underneath Matt Eberflus in Chicago. So the fact that he was also interviewed was just support staff worthy, okay? They might say there was 3 defensive coordinator interviews last year, but there was really only one. The other one was a support staff member of Matt Eberflus, and that was, of course, Andre Curtis. And then the other guy, linebackers coach with not a great resume to speak for it, and a court case. Okay, so there's clearly now Shotty has a lot more pull because everything that he's overseen has been a huge success. All right, I'm gonna let Patrik continue.
But it was a train wreck, right? It was an absolute train wreck. They look at, to your point, Derek, I think they looked at what Shotty did on offense and said, we believe in you now. We've seen the buy-in from players on offense. We've seen what happens when we allow a coach and a coordinator to build their own staff. So pick your coordinator this time for defense and let him do for the defensive staff, as far as the construction of it, what we allow you to do for offense. So now you're seeing in year 2, that's why I don't think it's shocking at all, but I don't think they gave him the blank check for the entire team up front. They said, we'll meet you halfway.
This man really, y'all hear the church organ in the background? He's really at the podium.
Halfway, right? You pay half, we pay half. Now they're saying, oh, it's all you, brother. Yeah. It's all you. And I love how he's building it. Like you said, Vach, he's coming with a good amount of experience, because not all of these guys are 33 like Uzo, 37 like Christian Parker. So you have Christian Parker, who has a wealth of experience even at 37, but you have some of the older guys, the mid 40s, 40s.
He said 37, and I meant to check that earlier. The Google says he's 33. I don't know if I'm wrong or if maybe Patrik accidentally misspoke. It doesn't really matter. You don't understand the point. He's young. He's vibrant. He's the next man. He's the next man up. So just wanted to make that clear. I realized I said 34 earlier. Patrik said 37. I'm not sure which is correct, but you guys can let me know in the comments.
47-year-olds that are coming in as position coaches, still young enough to not be in that old guard. This is the first time I could honestly say in a very long time, because I don't want to be a prisoner of recency bias.
I will be.
But in a very, very long time that the Cowboys have not been a recycling bin.
Well, yeah, for sure.
For coaches.
And of course, that's why the term recycling bin came out earlier, I guess. I just remembered he said that too. Forgot. But that was Patrik Walker, a perfect outro, I guess, for today's show. And I hope that you guys just, I hope that you see it from the same light, right, that we do here. And I hope that you understand the sentiment, what Shotty really understands, and what he's going above and beyond to make sure is at the forefront and at the pinnacle of their process. Relatability, teachability, the injection of youth and energy. All these things, they matter. They matter so much, right? Of course, our Common Cowboys Myths Debunked series will continue. We'll have another one for you next week. But in the meantime, let me know anything that you disagree with or agree with, or that you need for further clarification on from today's show. Leave those in the comments, and I'll do the best that I can to address them. I will either, if they can be addressed and responded to in a timely manner and rather quickly, I'll just hit you up in the comments back. But if it's a thought-provoking question like we saw yesterday, and from yesterday's channel, where I was like, wow, okay, great question, that needs to be addressed, we'll talk about that, then I'll answer it on the ensuing show. Okay, so that's a great way to communicate with me. Of course, the premium membership option will be available soon. Just waiting for YouTube to review. We've sort of finalized some things, and I'll have more announcements for you to come. But that's also coming. And then, of course, the teaser for the next episode is my perspective on the Max Crosby hypothetical trade to the Cowboys situation, and what I think is going to come of that. How we think that shakes out, right? Contextualizing that scenario from both sides, the Raiders and the Cowboys. That'll be tomorrow. Okay. Once again, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss that one. And we'll continue forecasting the truth about the Cowboys' future and having a really great recent track record to show for it. All thanks to, because of, and on behalf of you. All right. I appreciate you. Remember that prayer changes things and the war is already won. I'll talk to you guys on the next one.